Very, very busy week in Washington, D.C. Very important things happening there. We've talked quite a bit, and what's been taking center stage to a great degree has been, of course, the hearings with James Comey on Capitol Hill about Russia's involvement. All that seems to be very important. But one of the most important things happening in D.C. right now is the confirmation hearings in the Senate Judiciary Committee of Neil Gorsuch to the Supreme Court. So our own Senator Jeff Flake is on that committee and has agreed to join us for a few moments. Senator, I know you only have a few minutes, but thanks for joining me.
Hey, thanks for having me on. Yeah, we're going in at 9:30 our time here to the hearings for today. So how
was yesterday?
You know, yesterday was just mostly all of us senators bloviating. That's what happens on day one. Judge Gorsuch did get to introduce himself. He gave a speech that was just phenomenal. That's the only way to describe it. He is a bright legal mind and just a great guy. So it was a good introduction from him.
How much of what we're hearing, the Democrats talking about putting up a big fight and how concerned they are. Chuck Schumer is saying he's very concerned about some of the decisions, but this was a guy unanimously named. It seemed to be every legal mind in the country saying he's an excellent choice. How difficult do you think the process of getting him confirmed is actually going to be?
Well, the Democrats are going to have a very hard time painting this guy as out of the mainstream. He pointed out in his opening statement yesterday that of the 2,700 cases that have come before the appellate court on which he sits, 97% of them were decided unanimously. 99% of the time, he was in the majority. And his position, his decision was reversed by the Supreme Court once out of 2,700 tries. Now, try to paint a guy like that as out of the mainstream or extreme or ideological.
Yeah, and it's interesting for a guy that seemed to be so unanimously loved, and when he was put on to the appeals court, this seems to be a lot of politics. The question, of course, is him being there as even a conservative justice is not going to change the balance of the court. If there were to be another justice to step down for any reason, the next one would be the big fight, especially if it was like a Ruth Bader Ginsburg. How much of that balance of the court plays into it with the committee and the Republican versus Democrats inside that body?
Well, I know a lot of the more mainstream Democrats are saying, let's not fight on this hill. Let's wait till the next one, which, as you say, will shift the balance of the court, likely, depending on who steps down. And so we just don't know, though. They seem to be responding to their base, and the base, kind of the Elizabeth Warren wing of the Democratic Party, is saying fight on every hill. And I think a lot of Democrats are loath to do that. We'll see where they come out.
So when you look at the time frame, what are we looking at from a very novice point of view, the people that are just watching the headlines? What is the timeline for confirmation? If things go as well as can be expected, when will we go from these hearings to a confirmation vote to him actually being sworn in as a justice?
Great question. Today we have each senator will have one half an hour, 30 minutes each to question. So today's hearing will go for 10 hours. Tomorrow each senator will have 20 minutes. An additional 20 minutes. So it'll be all day tomorrow as well. We'll wrap up, I think, the testimony and questions Thursday. Next Monday, we'll have a vote. We'll have what's called markup, where we vote on him, but the Democrats can postpone that for another week, which I'm certain they will. So I think on April 3rd, we'll have the vote in committee to put him to the floor, and then a week later should consider him on the floor.
All right, so then middle of April then?
Yes, or early April.
Okay, so then let me ask one last question, because I know you're in a hurry to get into the hearing then. How do you craft those questions? If you have 30 minutes to question, there's going to be some redundancy in some of the questioning. How do you craft your questions for any one of these nominees?
With 2,700 opinions or decisions made, there's a lot to look at. And some of it you will maybe go into questions that the Democrats asked and explain. Or get some general philosophy on separation of powers or the Chevron doctrine or things like that. So believe me, there's plenty to fill up a half an hour, and it's going to be an interesting day.
Do all the senators use all their time, or do they sometimes yield?
Rarely yield.
Yeah.
We think that most of us will use our time, and it'll be a full 10 hours today.
Well, Senator, I always appreciate the time, and I know you're heading into the hearings. We'll be watching very closely and look forward to talking to you in the next couple of weeks.
You bet. Thanks for coming.
All right, thank you very much. That's Senator Jeff Flake spending a couple of minutes. Pretty interesting how he talked about the process of how the vote is going to happen. So a hearing today.
Plus, he also warned you how boring it's going to be today.
Wait, he talked about how boring it was yesterday. I said, how did yesterday go? He said, yesterday was just all of us senators bloviating. And then, but the process of every senator gets a 30-minute question and answer period. So it's a 10-hour marathon.
This is how you get Al-Qaeda to talk.
Yeah. Yeah, put them in a room full of
Listen to
these
senators
guys.
talk 30 minutes at a time.
And don't they get another 20 minutes tomorrow?
Yeah, each.
That's nuts.
Yeah. But he said 2,700 decisions, 97% of the time they were unanimous decisions, 99% of the time he was in the majority, and in 2,700 cases that he presided over, only one was overturned by the Supreme Court.
But he's pro-business, Mike.
He hates women and gays.
He doesn't look out for the little guy.
No, that's going to be their argument. He doesn't care about the poor.
Well, did you see that? The Ted Cruz thing where Ted Cruz went off yesterday on the committee because of the Democrats on the committee, that he doesn't look out for the little guy. It's such a ridiculous premise. So there you have it. Neil Gorsuch, they say early to mid-April we would have a vote on the floor. Then it would be swearing in, and he's a Supreme Court justice. Hopefully it goes that smoothly.